On Pigeonly, for some reason, my phone number ain't working. The guy said he's looking into it, and he may get it working Thursday. Your Lou Upton interview was absolutely off the charts. I'm hoping. I do have something to say to you about your Lou Upton interview. You still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
You could forward it to John Wells.
Yeah, I could. Here's the deal. I get a lot of people like, a lot of people talk like what you did on that show. Gold fringe flags. We lost the republic after the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln did a terrible thing. It's a corporation. All of that stuff. I hear that a lot from Ed Brown, Russell Landers, Montana Freeman. I have a lot of friends who believe that sort of thing. And you came across as incredibly articulate, probably one of the best deliveries I've ever heard of. And there was a certain point in the interview where you talk about when you go into the courtroom, you know how to beat them, and you're going to implement the 7th Amendment to exercise your jurisdiction to potty train the feds and keep them in their 10-mile radius and all that stuff. The problem that I see, just being an outsider sitting on the back, and keep in mind what I'm about to say, I completely recognize that you've been through 15 years of complete hell. I understand it's the most maximum security prison, and I can't even begin to imagine the hell that you've been through. So I'm not putting you down, but what I am saying is all of that knowledge that you had, all of that articulation about the law and how you studied the law, it obviously didn't do crap because you wound up in prison for 15 years. So I don't, from my own personal selfish perspective, I don't put a lot of...
They brought in Richard Tolman, who's a master liar and orchestrator, and he, about 300 times during the trial, misquoted the rules of evidence. He's just a monster.
No, David, I understand, but the Richard Talman is not abnormal. I'm here to tell you that there are hundreds of Richard Talmans all over this country, and none of them will allow the constitutional arguments to be argued in that courtroom. And so my position is that all of that knowledge that people gain about all of the truth that you speak doesn't do them any good in court.
Well, that's why, I just decided to go work for the Doctors Without Borders and do clinical studies. I got my degree in medicine, and I left Dodge. But for 10 years, I was silent, and they just came and kidnapped me.
Yeah.
So, you can't surrender and leave them alone.
I understand. They're going to come after you. Yeah, they're going to come after you. Okay. I had a few other things, and I want you to be able to interrupt me if you have priority things that you want to talk about. But, this talk about this copper water, it's getting some attention, and I don't have any, dog in this fight. I know that you're an innocent man. I fight for you as an innocent man who's in prison. You've been 15 years unjustly incarcerated. But because I'm getting messages from people I care about, these are my friends. I sent you a message from a guy whose dad had cancer. Now he's been through chemotherapy. He doesn't want to go through that again. Now he's got spots on his liver. He's asking if your copper water can help. We had one guy with multiple sclerosis.
It might. He needs to try it, but what you have to realize is the guy said he'll send samples on a limited scale to all these people that have a disease problem that want to test it. But he doesn't want to have the mainstream Joe send in 50,000 requests for samples.
Yeah.
Not yet. He's not ready.
I understand. I called that number that
he told me that,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, I called that phone number this morning. I was going to order a gallon for myself, but it was just a message. I mean, I'm sure they're very busy, so I'll call again tomorrow,
Well, that's what's been going on for...
This call is from a federal prison.
The guy's wife never answers the phone.
Yeah.
So if you want something, you need to call Guy on his cell phone and ask him for it, because otherwise you're not going to get it. And I've been very frustrated. I sent you an email this morning about my frustration. I was talking to Jeremiah just now, and he says that he wants to get rid of the rotors completely and put magnets there. And I'm like, look, I spent a lot of time drawing this drawing. I want it built the way I sent it. Do it the way I drew it,
Yeah.
How do we know it's going to work? And I says, well, first off, it's a magneto, and every Briggs and Stratton has one. And secondly, it's a transformer, and there's one on every pole in front of every house. And the concepts are tried and true, and I have no problem betting everything that it's going to work. Because it's not my fault, Jeremiah, that you had the machine shop make the rotors with a wobble.
Yeah.
He had this machine shop do the job really not very good, And he said he can't get a laser cutter because they're $60,000, and I knew you could buy a new laser cutter, computerized deal, for about $16,000, and I figured you should be able to find a used laser head for, $2,000 or $3,000. I wanted that money that he got to be spent to be able to not have to go back to the machine shop and pay $3,000 at a pop for machining. That's what's killing us.
Yeah.
I said, what are you going to do, Jeremiah? Build it again? It'll have more wobble. You'll have it wrong. Then you're going to ask for more money? I said, you better get it done the way I drew it before you run out of this money.
Yeah, I understand. It's very difficult. I can imagine
it. Listening to this, if somebody can go on Google and go to the auction website, what's it called, eBay, see if you could find a green laser cutter that cuts thin steel for a reasonable price. Thin steel. It's only 22 gauge thickness. The neck glass is very thin. Yeah. We don't need a fancy laser cutter. I don't know. Mel says they're $60,000 a piece for one she looked at. But all I know is I'm in prison. I know what I'm doing, and I'm trying to get it done. And if we can't get it done, I guess for now we'll have to just get samples to people that are really in need, like this person with the spots on his liver. That's good. We'll get him some samples, and we'll just go from there.
Praise God. Praise God. This judge.
So I've been frustrated, and I really would like to see you be able to help me politically so I can get out and just start building these myself.
That's what we're shooting for. Listen, man, I'm surprised that you've maintained your freaking sanity, David. I know what I don't know what it's like, but I've read about what it's like in these ADX Florence Supermaxes, solitary confinement. They broke your fingers. I know the food is bad. You're surrounded by people with IQ levels, that you can't even begin to. I can't even begin to imagine the kind of company you must have to keep all the time. I want you to get out of there with your mind intact. That's my goal.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if you wanted to tell John about what our other projects are, but if Guy is willing to, he says for $3,000 or $4,000 he could send out tens of thousands of samples. But I don't know. I'm just frustrated. Okay?
Well, don't get too frustrated. Listen, the Lord is working miraculous things, okay? And we'll see what we can do to bring all the pieces together. But
I wouldn't have even minded if somebody leased a laser cutter with easy payments for 4 years, and then we turn around and just start making.
Yeah, I got you, man.
It's just terrible. These people charge $500 setup fee for each part. We only got three main parts. You've got the rotor and the statters, and the pieces that hold the coils.
Yeah.
So, it's not really that complicated, but we got over $6,000 in machining in the past, and we got a rotor that wobbles, and this isn't my fault.
No. But I mean, I recognize that Jeremiah and Guy are, I don't think they're getting paid elaborate sums of money. They're doing this because they want to help, and so I have a lot of respect for their efforts. And if the thing wobbles, I'm sure we'll figure out how to get beyond it. It's not the end of the world, I'm sure they'll figure out how to get beyond it. I shouldn't be,
Well, we need to rebuild it from scratch because we need to use Met glass. That gets rid of the heat problem.
There you go.
You can go online. The word glass has one S in it, by the way. Met Glass is a nice company that sells product that's 5 times more magnetic than regular steel. So we should be able to get a full 150 kW out of a 1-foot box.
Yeah.
Really, really good,
Yep. I read up to page 200 in your book today, so I'm up to page 200. I got that all on YouTube. I'm going to put it in one big, long video with the whole dang book in one video. This whole relationship between Judge Lodge and I want to know if he's the one who pardoned Lon Horiuchi. We don't have to go into that now. The whole Swisher relationship to Gunderson. Yeah. If Swisher was somehow working with Gunderson, or they were two separate efforts to take over your factory.
Mel sent over the application to In-Q-Tel already, and they rejected the whole application and sent it back and said, you are barred, you are banned. Do not resubmit.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
So what you do is you appeal to any engineers in the audience. If there's any engineers in the audience that doubts anything I say, vet me. Ask me. Write to me in prison. Contact my friend Rudy. Look at the drawings that we've published on the website. I can back up everything that I say, and I'm encouraging people to look beyond, just the initial statement, because I guarantee you your statement is so unbelievable most people are going to freak out. But when you tell them that I've got the drawings, I've got a prototype, I'm willing to answer any question that anybody asks me, and go find your engineering uncle or go find your engineering brother-in-law and have him look at this, and then that'll be what's impressive. It's like, wow, this guy's willing to stand behind everything he says. That's going to be where you get him, I think.